starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
All right. Good morning, everybody. My name is Jonathan Pace. I am the Sales Manager for New Solution Sales at 3D Systems Geomagic. Joined with me is Mike Sang, our Head Product Specialist here at Geomagic. Today we are absolutely thrilled to introduce the new Geomagic Design. We've added several new exciting features aimed at enhancing Geomagic Design's integration with 3D Systems, 3D printers, and scanners. Before we dive into the new features available for Geomagic Design, I'd like to quickly review what Geomagic Design is all about. What we offer is a powerful, affordable mechanical design and 3D printing analysis software. It's a history-based solid body, sheet metal, and assembly design software and now incorporates technology from 3D Systems to make it work wonderfully with the full line of 3D printers and Sense scanner made by the industry leader in 3D printing, 3D Systems. There are a number of time-saving features built into Geomagic Design, like standard part libraries, so you don't spend time modeling parts that are available off the shelf, and dimension wizards within 2D documentation that place dimensions on your engineering drawings automatically for you. Our newest time-saving feature, Printability, enables you to analyze your model to see how it will print based on a pre-selected printer and material. Essentially, you can now simulate how the 3D print will turn out before sending your model to the printer. This awesome new feature saves you time and money by ensuring your 3D print turns out right the first time. How this is going to work is that my colleague, Mike Sang, who is our Head Product Specialist, will give a general overview of the new features for the next 30 minutes. During that time, everybody will be in listen-only mode, but you're welcome to ask questions during the webinar in the chat box. This webinar will be recorded and shared with everyone shortly after. At the end of the webinar, we'll open up for a Q&A to answer as many questions as we can. But before Mike joins us, I'd like to briefly review what new features are available in our latest release of Geomagic Design. My personal favorite, Printability Analysis, is a very robust new feature unique to Geomagic Design that incorporates a wide variety of in-house printer and material knowledge. Its purpose is to inform you of problem areas up front during the design process, allowing you to catch mistakes that might cost you time or money. For example, if you are printing a 25% scale model of an interlocking device to test the form, and unknown to you the clearance on the scale model is too tight for the print to be successful, you can now run the Printability Analyzer to determine this and fix the problem before you send the model to the printer. Sense integration in Geomagic Design makes it possible for you to start a scan and import it directly into Geomagic Design. The Sense scanner is a great tool for a variety of 3D scanning uses in CAD, such as general shape referencing or general measurement referencing. Geomagic Design now supports importing and solidification of mesh files for use as reference geometry or in actual modeling. This comes in handy for those who are interested in importing mesh files from 3D scans or from internet sites that host downloads for 3D models. Team Platform integration in Geomagic Design allows customers to upload and download models from Team Platform within the software. Team Platform is a cloud-based collaborative design and project management platform for product design and engineering. It's a web-based, fast and secure, powerful project management tool. As you can see, we've added some exciting new features in the latest release. Now I'd like to introduce Mike Sang to show you how these features work in the new Geomagic Design. Mike, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Jonathan. Hello, everyone. My name is Mike Sang. I'm the Product Specialist Manager for Geomagic Solutions. I'm here to show you some of the exciting new features in the latest release of Geomagic Design. First up, Printability Analysis. Geomagic Design now has a new analysis tool called Printability, allowing you to dynamically check the printability of your model. Preloaded with a wealth of printing knowledge based on 3D System printers, this tool is going to save you time when designing for printing. So let's go ahead and take it for a spin. Bring up my GeoDesign. Alright, so what we have here is a new design for a flexing cover that belongs to an office rolling chair. If you might have noticed that in the PowerPoint presentation there. So this is a prototype, and we're going to want to print this model out here. Now, the model is not quite done yet. I need to add some ribbing, and of course I want to check for the printability. So let's go ahead and do that check right now. I'm going to go up here, and you'll notice that under Viewing and Analysis ribbon, we have a new tool called Printability. I'm going to click on the Printability, and click on Settings here, and it's going to ask me what kind of 3D printer I want to print on. So I here selected the CubeX, but you'll notice that in this drop-down list, there is a very long list of 3D printers that you have available to you. I can pick something like the Project 7000, and it's going to go ahead and give me more options. You know, what particular model? Maybe I'm going to print in HD, depth of short, maybe build mode of HD, and even what type of material. So I'm going to go ahead and say this is probably going to be a flex, and hit OK. And you'll notice here in the area types that it's going to show you what it's going to look for. Common problems for 3D printing, like printing volume, wall thickness, gap clearance, overhang. These are all things that Geomagic Design is going to check for. Over here on the right, you have even more detailed information. It's going to give you some information on the printer, the volume, as well as details on exactly what the error is. So that way, you know, when it does show an error, it's not going to just say, hey, you know, you got an error. It's going to actually let you know how you should fix that. Things like if there's a gap clearance error, it's probably because that gap clearance is smaller than 20 thou. So I'm going to hit apply and close it out there. And you can see right away that it's gone ahead and checked through the printability for my model and showed me some errors. First of all, you can see that the build volume is highlighted here in this box, and that a part visibly can fit in there. So that's a good, nice check. Now, if we go into the actual model, you'll see some red faces here. This is basically letting me know that, hey, you've got some errors here if you want to print this out. So we've got some here over this little gap, and of course we look like we have some overhang that I may need to fix. If I'm not sure what the error is, I can always go to the error info button here, and it's going to let me know. You know, I can roll through each of these faces specifically so I know where those are, and of course it's going to give me the description. The gaps, of course, are smaller than 20 thou maybe, and the angle, these overhangs, of course I have a nice 90-degree angle, and of course I'm going to need to make that something more of like a 60-degree from the printing bed in order so that I don't have to make supports. So let's go ahead and fix that right now. I'm going to go here and edit the sketch. Come in here. This is that overhang, so I'm just going to go ahead and fix that by making a nice, maybe a 65-degree change here. Something like that. Good. Go ahead and trim this up. Just make sure that these things intersect. That's it. All right. Deactivate my sketch. And if you notice real quick there, it was doing a little printing icon. It's showing you that it was going to go ahead and do the analysis. Now take a look. At this point in time, I no longer have red faces showing me instantly that my errors are fixed. So it's nice because that viewing and analysis button, that printability tool, is a dynamic tool. It's not, it's not a thing I have to check on and off again. It's always going to be there. It's always going to be updating. So as I design, as I fix my errors, I can instantly get feedback on whether those errors have been fixed or not. So let's roll back down. And again, it's going to do that check, and you can see, again, I still have to fix these gaps here. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to edit that. And lo and behold, I've got it at 0.02 inches right there at the threshold. I'm going to go ahead and give it some buffer, increase it to 0.03. Roll forward there. Look at that. No more red faces. I can, just double check. I'm going to go back to my view analysis ribbon, go to error info, and you can see right here there are no erroneous faces found. So this is great. If I wanted to stop right now, I would know this thing would print. But I'm not quite done yet, right? I need to add some ribbing to the part. I need to get some support for these cylinders here. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Roll forward. I already have my sketch planned out here for me. And we'll just do an extrusion. Bring that down to this bottom face here. Hit OK. And what do you know? You can see that because I have my printability tool on, it instantly showed the faces red, telling me that I might have an error here. And it's probably because that ribbing is probably smaller than 20 thou. So I can go back in here edit that, and yep, I was right. So I come in, give it some more buffer. It's going to do a check again, and now that face isn't red. So you can see how, with again, the instant feedback, I'm able to quickly save myself some time while I'm doing my design. So we're going to finish this up, do a nice circular pattern of that extrusion, 5 of those around there. All right. So I've got all my ribbing in there. I'm ready for this thing to go to the printer. Just double check again. I'm going to take a look at my error info. Great, no erroneous faces. All right, I'm ready to roll. So once I'm ready to go, you can see that there's a new export model button. I click on that, and I can go ahead and export this as an STL or ZPR. And from there, I can go and put it onto like a USB stick and bring that over to my 3D printer. If I don't have one, I can even actually go to the gem here and click on Cubify Cloud Printing. That's going to go ahead and allow me to send the file straight to Cubify, and they can print it for me. So now, one other nice feature is that since it's dynamic, I can actually click on this button and change on the fly different printers. So if I wanted to print this on a CubeX, maybe, I want to get a couple different tries here, or maybe change the material to see what different materials like. I'm going to go ahead and do that. And once I change the printer, it's actually automatically going to update the settings. And you can see the build volume has changed. But again, this part in particular, no erroneous faces. We went through it, changed the requirements for this particular printer, and luckily for me, I don't need to make my changes. So just with that, with a new printability tool, it's even easier to go from design to functional part. So the next feature I want to highlight is Sense integration. Now in Geomagic Design, you can import scans directly from the Census scanner, allowing you to take advantage of 3D scans right inside of Geomagic Design. All right, so let's take a look at that. I'm going to come back in here. I'm actually going to close this, and we're going to open up a new file. And if you notice, one of the new ribbons is Scanning and Mesh. One of the first buttons here is the Launch Sense button. So I'm going to click on that, and it's going to go ahead and launch the Sense scanning utility. Here it is. Now I've got my Sense scanner already plugged in. And this utility is pretty intuitive. It's very simple. It's going to ask you just a few simple questions. What do I want to scan? And I got right here a seat, a chair cover, or I'm sorry, just a chair seat. So I'm going to click on Object. It's about medium-sized-ish. Okay. And you can see my chair here. And with Geomagic Sense, it's pretty simple. You just kind of point at what you want to scan and hit Start Scan. It's going to rev up, get ready, and start capturing the outside world. So I'm just going to move it around and try to get the top of that, get to the side and bottoms. So I can move around my objects and scan this in. And when I'm done with it, just pause and go to the next step. And it's going to go in and do some cropping, automatic cropping, some processing, and then give me some more tools. I can do some further cropping if I wanted to. Obviously I don't want that some of my table back there, so I can come in here, do a quick crop, just that. And there are a couple more tools I can fill holes and such. But so this is one example. I was able to capture that nice organic chair. Let's do another scan. Here I'm going to scan Mr. Squirrel here, but Mr. Squirrel isn't a medium-sized object. I'd say he's pretty small, so I'm going to just click on the small object. And by doing that, it's going to go ahead and change the volume size, just so that when it does the automatic processing, it knows what I want to keep and what I don't. So with that, we're going to go ahead and start scan. Again, it's going to be a little nice countdown for me. I can start capturing Mr. Squirrel. And I have him on a Lazy Susan, basically. I'm just going to spin him around a little bit, just so you can see that it's easy to capture him. Point, shoot, get Mr. Squirrel here. All right. Then from there, go to the next step. again, it's going to go in there, it's going to process and scan based on that build volume. And you can see that here I have Mr. Squirrel in 3D. Again, I can do some cropping if I wanted to. Let's see, maybe if I want to do something, if I'm only interested in just his top half, I can go ahead and crop that out there. I can do some more things. If I go to the next stage, maybe erase some erroneous stuff, kind of like that table, or solidify it. I can come in here and turn this thing into a nice solid mesh. It's going to go in and do that for me automatically. And then once I'm done with there, I have a couple more tools, and I'll just go ahead and skip over that, and then it will automatically bring this into Geomagic Design for me. Alright, it's all done. Spin it around, so the holes cap the bottom for me. It's great. Hit next. I'm going to skip these tools here, but you can see that you can smooth out the mesh if I wanted to, do some trimming, and maybe even touch it up a little bit. But I'll just hit finish. And then once I hit finish, it's going to actually take that scan and bring it into Geomagic Design. It's going to ask me how to do some placement, and I'll get back to that later. But right here, you can see I've got Mr. Squirrel within Geomagic Design. Now that I have my 3D scan inside of Geomagic Design, it begs the question, what can I do with it now? Well, that's going to lead us into our next new feature. Before we go into that, I'm going to go ahead and take a quick pause here for our first poll question. So I'm going to do that. Alright. So give me a quick moment here while I go ahead and get set. Alright. So the next feature that I want to describe is mesh support. Geomagic Design now has mesh support, allowing you to import mesh files from almost anywhere. Whether that's from a 3D scanner like the Census or the Capture, a modeling software like Freeform, Maya, or Blender, or downloading it from the web like from sources like Cubify.com or Thingiverse, Geomagic Design can let you import those files, allowing you to speed up your overall design process. Alright, so let's take a look at a few ways we can actually design with these mesh files. So once again, I'm going to bring up Design. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go straight to the Open button here, and I'm going to open up a scan. So you can see that we can now support STLs. And I'm going to bring in this part effect scan that I have here. And it's going to ask me, what units. I know this thing is scanned in millimeters. And again, I did choose this from the scanner, so I know this is a little organic. So I'm going to click on Organic Shape and click Import. So it's going to go in there, and similar to how you saw the squirrel from our last session, it's going to bring in the mesh. And here it's going to ask me, where do I want to locate this mesh? Where do I want to place this on my coordinate system? Well, if I were to actually have this, if I turn on my planes, I'm already squared up. But if I wanted to, I could use a triad, and I can move this manually, or I could use precise placement, of course, which you're probably already familiar with, changing it by X, Y, or Z, or by rotation. But as I mentioned, it's already there. So I'm going to close this. And I mentioned before some of the, there's a variety of ways I can use mesh files. So one of the more traditional one is, sketching and feature creation. And what you're going to notice is when you enter a sketch, you now are taking a cross-section of your mesh at the same time, kind of giving you kind of like an X-ray vision. It's going to assist in helping you create the parts. So if I wanted to create, let's say, a mating part to this thing here, I'm going to go ahead and first create a plane above in this nice little pocket over here. So I'll do that offset by, say, one, nope, too far. we go. So make a plane there, and then create my sketch on that guy. And when you do it, you can see this green outline there. That is the cross-section of my mesh. So what it allows me to do is, if when I'm using tools like lines and arcs, I can actually snap right on top of that cross-section. This gives me, this basically allows me to use the scan data as a nice reference as I create my geometry. And of course, I'm going to have the ability to go beyond that, right? This is just providing me with an outline, a template, if you will. I can, of course, come in here and say, oh, well, I really want that to be horizontal and this to be vertical. And it's going to go ahead and let me do that. But at the same time, I have this visual outline that I can use to assist me in creating my geometry. It's very, very powerful stuff here. I'm going to add this fillet. That might be a mismatch. There we go. Perfect. See that? So as I design this part, I'm using the mesh data as a nice template. Great. And of course I can come in here and do my extrusions and start generating a nice featured part from this. So in the end you can end up with something like, show you guys the finished product just so you get an idea of what it's capable of. Here we go. So here's that same part, and if we go ahead and hide our mesh here, turn it around, you can see the underside. I was able to go ahead and capture this part. So I know that's part nice, fits nicely to my scan here. Now, another cool way that we can import meshes, close these, is for it to automatically recognize the geometry of my scan and then attempt to create solids and surfaces from there. So let me show you a scan file first. Where's my scan? Here we go. All right, this is a mesh file. So this is something that was maybe designed in Blender or Maya. You see this is a mesh file. If I turn on the shading, you'll be able to see the triangles that it's composed of. So here's something that we have. Now I'm going to reopen this and use the open button this time. And there it is. Scroll light base. Hit open. It's going to ask me again what units. This time it's in units, and it's going to organic, shape, mechanical. This time I'm going to pick mechanical. Click on that, and it's going to import. What it's going to do, it's going to go in. It's going to try to analyze that geometry that you saw there on that mesh, and from there create my surfaces and solids. And boom, you can see right here. Actually, it's already done. And you can see it's import STL, but this right here, this is a solid. This is from here. I can go ahead and do my extrusions and my bosses from here. For example, if I wanted to come in here and fill in this hole, I can do that. Go here. Do that one more time. So I can go ahead and fill that in there. I can do things, what might be more applicable is doing direct modeling, right? Maybe I want to change this particular plug instead of a 3-prong to a 2-prong. So I'm going to come in here and remove that guy. Of course, I probably want to, excuse me, move these guys around, bring them down a little so it's centered a little bit better. So I can go ahead and move those down. Wrong direction. There you go. Center it up. This came from a mesh file. So Geomagic Design is able to actually bring that in and attempt to create surfaces and solids. And from there, you can go ahead and design straight from that. All right. Now what about the workflow where you have more organic shapes? Things kind of like that chair that I showed you, or even Mr. Squirrel. Like how do you deal with those things? Because you're not going to sit there and want to try to edit Mr. Squirrel's eyes. Well, I mean, you might, but so I'm going to show you that workflow. Close these out, and again, I'm going to open up Where's the screw? Mr. Screw, here it is. Again, it's going to ask me what kind of shape. I'm going to go millimeters, and it's organic. Import. Again, it's going to pop up and ask me where I want to locate this. I'm just going to close this out. It's already been there. So here's that scan that we had before. And if I go into the scanning mesh and mesh ribbon, you'll notice that one of the new buttons here is convert mesh to solid. So I'm going to go ahead and click that. Select the mesh and hit OK. And it's going to go in here and create a network of surfaces around this organic shape. And it's going to sew them all together, stitch them all together, so that my ending result is a nice surface of solid that I can again, I can then do modeling on. So it's going to be a solid that I can cut out of. It's going to be solid that I can do Boolean cuts from. So I can use this nice, natural organic shape from the outside world and apply them to my design. So here's my squirrel. Let me go ahead and hide that mesh so we can take a look at him. There he is. That's a solid body there. Of course, if I wanted to do something like create a light, I can come in here and do a sketch. Maybe I just want to cut him in half first. Cause I'm going to make like a night light, for example. I only want half of it. So come in here and draw a nice triangle and Boolean cut this out. Just go through all. You see that's solid. So you can imagine I can go in here, I can do some shelling, some cutouts, and the result would be something like this. Take a look at this. So here, I was able to bring this guy in, got my light bulb and my plug that you guys recognize from over here, and I've got, of course, scroll scan. So using the mesh support, now that's in Geomagic Design, I'm able to, basically opened up resources available to you. You can now incorporate geometry from almost any source to aid you in your design. All right, close out of this. Let's talk about the next feature. So Geomagic Design is now integrated with an easy cloud-based project management and collaboration tool called Team Platform. Now, if you haven't seen it before, I'm going to show you just a little demo here. So let's jump back into Design. I'm going to open up a new file. And what you're going to notice if you click on the gem, so we have a new option called Team Platform. We can upload or download files straight from there. And I don't have a file open here. It's the upload button is grayed out. So let's say I wanted to download a file. But I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to show you guys how to actually sign up for it. So we're going to click on the sign up link, and it's going to automatically bring up my browser. Let's close out this guy. Nope. One moment. Do this. All right. Sorry about that. All right. So here we have Team Platform, and what I'm going to do is going to go ahead and sign up. It's going to ask me some quick details. Type it in here. So it asks me for email. And some more. I'm actually located in Colorado, and we'll have a company size of 5 or 9 people in this office here. And after you sign that up, it's going to ask you to go ahead and start your team trial. And when you sign up, you're going to give a 30-day free trial, unlimited trial, so you'll be able to really test this thing and make sure that it's right for you. It's going to ask you to say that activation email has been sent. And once you get that email, It's going to basically allow you to enter into Team Platform. Go ahead and let that go for a while. I'm going to go ahead and log into my instance of Team Platform so you kind of get a sense of what it's all about. So, teamplatform.com. All right. So here's my workspace, and now you're probably asking, what is Team Platform? What can it do for me? Well, I can tell you right now that first of all, it's much more than just a sharing tool. Yes, it can definitely share. You can upload and download files. We have a sync client in there where if you have it running on your computer, it will sync all your files, or files that you want it to anyways, up to the cloud, as well as to collaborators. If they have some tool installed, when you update a file, their files will be updated as well. And it's going to be it's going to be a step-by-step update. So if you have, let's say, a 100 megabyte assembly file, you change a little small thing, it's going to be a nice small increment change. It's not going to re-upload the 100 megabytes. It's only going to upload like a megabyte, whatever change that you made. It's really nice. But I digress. Team Platform is more than just a sharing tool. It's a collaboration tool. Let's take a look at an example. We talked about that scroll light that I was making there. So I'm going to go into the scroll light workspace, and you can see that here I have all my files uploaded. I have my renderings, my mesh files, my GeoDesign files. And this project here is, it could be lengthy. I can jump in here and you can actually do tasks and Gantt charts from here. I can say, oh yeah, I've done scan squirrels. This thing was assigned to me. And if you notice that as soon as I click on that, let's take a look at my Gantt chart, that it completed that. And it's going to go ahead and bring down automatically whoever's tasked with the next task. It's going to notify them, say, hey, the previous task is done, you're up to bat. Time to finish up your tasks. So we can come in here and I've created the models, everything. So this is a nice way to track your project, to make sure things are going the way that you want them to. And at the same time, it's also a great place for you to communicate. We've got email notifications, app notifications, and they're all tracked here in this comment system. Any of those comments that you make, you can see that here. So when you have new members join your team, you don't have to worry about forwarding emails. You can actually just invite them to this workspace, and they're going to be able to jump in and see the previous histories, kind of catch up fast on the project at hand. And, more than just syncing and collaborating, you can also make instant web pages. So I can come up here and I have this web page to kind of show you the review of this scroll light here, and I click on share page. And you want to think I can go ahead and password protect that. I can make it expire, whatever I want. It's very secure. Click on that, and now this link right here, you can go ahead and share this link to maybe my client or other people interested in the project, and I can control if they can download it or not. And of course, one of the things that you may run into is, hey, your client doesn't have Geomagic Design. They don't have something they can view scans in. But with Team Platform, you don't have to worry about that. They can come in here and say, oh yeah, I want to take a look at this scan file. Click on that scan file, and it's actually going to come here, and you're going to actually be able to view the files. And these are native STL files. So here's an STL file. You can upload an OBJ, or any of those, and you can see this in 3D. They're able to spin this around. They can take measurements if they want. They can take screenshots. There's a variety of viewing. Let's take a look at maybe a native GeoDesign file. Here's an assembly. I'm going to bring this in. Here it is. You can see here's an assembly of the light bulb and the base. You can come in here and turn on and off or make visible a variety of parts that's in my assemblies. If I wanted to see an exploded view, I can go ahead and do that. Change transparency if I wanted to. It's all right here available for you. Your client doesn't need to have those softwares. They can go ahead and you can give them this page. It's nice, clean. It's very HTML-like. So if you know some HTML or even Word, we also have a Word version. You can paste in pictures, put in your own logo in here. And when your client wants to go ahead and make comments, they can do that. They can jump in here, take a look at this, and make annotations. Click on this, maybe point to a particular object, and ask questions like brighter. They want to make it a brighter light. and they get saved, and all that information will be saved here. So I can save the content, and it's like maybe 150 watts. I mean, that's pretty bright for a nightlight, but maybe that's what he wants. And that annotation is saved. So anyone else involved in the project come here, and they're going to see that annotation. They can make adjustments, maybe find new light bulbs for Mr. Squirrel Nightlight here. All right. So from Team Platform, you're able to share data. You're able to manage your tasks, manage your project, and communicate with your team with ease and efficiency. And that wraps up the features that I wanted to show, the latest features in Geomagic Design. We're going to go ahead and jump into a Q&A session now. But before we do that, we're going to do another poll. Thank you, everyone, and go ahead and answer that poll.
All right, Mike, thank you. You did an excellent job showing off the new features in Geomagic Design for us. We appreciate everyone's time today. If you have any questions after the webinar, you can find our contact information on geomagic.com.
So everybody, my name is Tom Simon. I'm Product Marketing Manager here at 3D Systems Geomagic. I'm also going to have Ryan Montgomery, who is another product specialist, on the Q&A session today to go through some of the technical questions. And during this technical open Q&A part, we are going to have one more poll, so keep your eyes on the screen as we work through it. I want to thank everybody for all the questions they've submitted, and we're going to go ahead and start working through them. And so a couple of the questions at first out of the gate are, can projects to sketch be used on a mesh cross-section?
Can you hear me okay, first of all?
Yes. Yes, we can.
Okay. Project to sketch cannot be projected to a mesh. It has to be projected to a plane. Okay. You can use the, you can project to a 3D sketch, but not a 2D sketch.
Okay. And is the drawing module able to reference meshes, STLs, or must they be solidified?
I believe they need to be solidified before they can be projected into a drawing.
Okay. Can you work with individuals? Oh, sorry, that's going to be a team platform question. We'll get to that momentarily. So let's go a bit to some of the scanning questions that we had. The first one here is, how sensitive to PC specs is the Sense?
So the Sense scanner is made to work with a majority of computers out there right now. You're going to want, of course, basically any computer that you can run Geomagic Design on, pretty much going to be what runs the Sense scanner on.
And there's a couple questions in here regarding the cost of the scanner. Sense scanner is $400. You can find it at cubify.com. There's a breakdown there that will give you some more information on the product as well as how to order it, and go through that. Can you append scan data to an existing scan?
So you can do that. Unfortunately, you can't do that within Geomagic Design in terms of merging the meshes. There's currently no mesh editing per se tools in there. However, you can bring both scans in at the same time and reference both of them. Right. If you want to do that.
And just one more question here about it. How can the scanned object be converted to an STP?
Yes, so that whole workflow that I showed where we did either an auto surface, or we did that with the squirrel, or converted directly into that solid with that plug there. Both of those, of course, once they're that solid, you can export that as an STP, IGES, parasolid, or save it that way.
Okay, so let's move to printability, because that sparked a lot of questions. Is this printability analysis for 3D printing and or traditional printing to an ink toner printer in 2D media?
So the printability analysis is specified for 3D printing. Yeah, I'm not sure if, in terms of 2D printing, if you would need a printability check. Kind of like more of a screenshot.
So this is going to be a two-part question, which is this drop-down list of 3D printers for the printability check appears to only have 3D Systems machines. Can we check printability on other printers from other manufacturers? So we can answer that first, and then I'll ask the second part to it.
Yeah, so you did see in there that they're mostly 3D Systems printers, and they're as 3D Systems, we're able to take all that wealth of information that we already have in there. Now, of course, printers are very similar in terms of the restrictions. So you can probably match up your restrictions if you have other printers out there to the ones that are on that list and use that as a printability check.
Okay, and when you pulled down the list of printers, they saw the 3510 series, did not see the 3000 series. So are the 3000 series printers supported for printability analysis as well?
Very similar to what I just asked. Yeah, so you can be able to do that. So you just check your references.
Okay. Does the printability tool take into account which material is being used for printing?
Absolutely. So when I first highlighted, I think I picked the Project 7000 there. It brought up another pop-up with more options, and down below I picked flexibility, but you can go ahead and choose any materials that are available to that printer.
Okay. So we're moving around here a little bit. Let's see. Is printability analysis in the Elements version?
Ryan?
Yes, it should be.
Okay.
In both.
Okay. And let's move a little bit. We've got a couple more questions here in regards to scanning. Can you scan from very small rings to cars with same scanner and software?
So the short answer would be no. Same software, yes, but the Sense scanner is kind of made for bigger objects. The squirrel was a good example of kind of how small you want to really go. But you can go up much larger. From there, you can go to cars. You would probably want something like a ring or even small details. You want something a little higher accuracy, something like a capture scanner.
Thanks. Folks, while I'm asking these next couple of questions, we're going to be posting our third poll, so if you wouldn't mind answering it while it's up, we'll be working through the answers at the same time. We've got another question here. Can files be saved out as OBJs? This is actually asked by a lot of people. So can the file be saved as an OBJ? Is there any limitations to that at all?
The 3D files can, yes.
Okay. And let's see. Is it possible to import and export PLYF files with color?
That I'm not sure about. I believe the answer is no, but I'd have to double check.
I know you can import, just to go in, I know you can import OBJs with colors. I'll have to check on the PLY compatibility. But when I first scanned in that scroll, you noticed that it was in color in Geomagic Design. So.
Can you also do 3D printability checks on imported model data?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. And what about the lost tracking error that appeared at the end of your scan? Can you talk a little bit about why that popped up towards the end there, Mike, just as kind of like the finishing process and how it doesn't really impact the actual scan model itself?
Absolutely. So yeah, it said track losses because I actually brought the scanner down. I was done scanning, and when it does that, it lost the image, and so it gave me that error. I was already done scanning, so I could just hit next, and as you guys saw, the scan wasn't impacted at all. If I wanted to, I could go back, and it's kind of hard to remember, but there was a transparent image of the last thing it saw. So all I have to do is go back to that last image, and it's going to get its tracking back. But yeah, that tracking error was because I was done scanning. I just kind of threw the scanner down.
Okay. Another couple people have asked this question, which is it possible to use another 3D scan system as part of the integration part?
As part of the integration, there's no button, no button to the other scanners. However, if you have other scanners, you can export that, their scans as an STL or OBJ, and you can of course import those files into Geomagic Design.
Okay. Questions here. Another one. This is a popular one, I think, for most of our products. But I am a Mac user. Is this compatible?
It does run on a Mac, but I don't believe it's officially supported. So if you have Parallels or Boot Camp or something along those lines, then you'd be able to run it.
I've got a question here that I can answer, which is Cubify a different company from Geomagic who supports the scanner? Cubify.com is really where the consumer parts of 3D Systems live. Geomagic Solutions is part of the 3D Systems family, so it's all kind of interweaved. And actually, in Team Platform, I think should be important to point out as well, is also part of that that ecosystem of products available to you. So they all are tied together underneath the same umbrella and the same family. Can you make custom settings for printability checks for printers that aren't supported?
I believe the answer to that is no. Correct, Mike?
Correct.
All right. Jonathan, can you throw the pricing structure up again on your slides, please, just for a few people that joined late?
Sure. Here it is.
So you just talk through that for just a couple seconds, because there's people asking, you know, where am I between the two and those kinds of things.
Sure. Yeah. So pricing for North America, Geomagic Design Element starts at $1,000. That's just for the seat itself. We do have maintenance available. Maintenance is additional $300, and that covers access to technical support as well as any version upgrades. Geomagic Design, which is our top-level product, starts at $2,000. Maintenance on that is an additional $400.
Okay, so let me see. Can you summarize again the difference between Elements and the full software?
Sure. So just taking a look on our website for a full list of features. Geomagic Design does have a couple additional options, such as design configurations. It has direct editing, which is helpful when using it with scan data. And it includes several other add-ons, Keyshot, Moment Inspiration, which is kind of like a freeform modeling tool.
And there's a few people who have asked questions about the scanner device and if it's wireless. It is not wireless currently. However, it is available and functional on a number of tablets that have USB interfaces. For example, Microsoft Surface, things like that to make it more portable and to work inside your environment. And the processing power on those tablets is strong enough to be able to handle that kind of scanning and modeling data. So while it's not wireless, you still have the ability, if you want to move around and move freely to scan your surfaces. Which version of Geomagic Design lets you create a solid out of a mesh? Is the solid NURBS geometry, and can you export that geometry out as NURBS?
I believe all versions, yes and yes.
Okay. Okay. I might have missed it, but where can I view information from existing CAD files like dimensions, errors such as inverted triangles, etc., and does it have an autofix option?
Could you repeat that question? I'm sorry.
Yeah, it actually just disappeared on me. Sorry about that. Usually, I'll have to go back and find that one. At the very least, we can also answer it at the end of the webinar. There'll be some follow-up emails to this. Somebody want to clarify a previous question. With other automatic converters I've used for mesh files, oftentimes they don't pick up on smooth surfaces like pipes, and I have to manually trace them. Would a smooth bent surface like a pipe be considered a mechanical or organic body for mesh conversion?
Pipe would be considered mechanical.
Okay. Does Geomagic have a tool to create an inverse warp for parts that we know will warp in the printing process?
I believe the answer to that is no.
Okay. With importing a mesh file, can you orient the mesh to align with the planes?
You can use the orientation inside the mesh file, or if you have planes on the mesh itself, if you have planar faces, then you can use those for alignment also.
Okay. I have a ProJet 660 Pro, and I want to import files with color and work on them. Is it possible?
Import mesh files?
Yes.
I believe you can with STL, but I'm not certain about that. Mike, do you know?
Yes, if you have something with color already, like an OBJ, you can import that into Design and work on it a little bit. You can export it as a ZPR, which will hold some color information, but in terms of adding color within Geomagic Design, that's
And while we're talking about some of that, can you actually, Mike, can you talk a little bit about the object size again in terms of scanning proportions for the Sense and into Geomagic Design?
Sure, the object sizes. Yeah, so in terms of how big of an object that you can bring into Geomagic Design, that doesn't matter. It's just a bunch of numbers, right? But in terms of what the Sense is able to scan, it's that squirrel is probably around 6 inches tall or something. Some of the details that you saw in there, pretty detailed. And you're able to capture, obviously the hand and ears, the majority of those things. But things like maybe like the prequels, you weren't going to be able to capture with the Census. It doesn't have that quite high of accuracy. I think we're looking at something around like a millimeter in terms of that. So anything, if you're looking at anything bigger than that, yeah, you can go ahead and scan that and be able to bring that in. So if you scan a chair, you scan maybe a car door or a car seat, you can absolutely get those objects into Design.
Okay. So this is kind of maybe a little bit of a loaded question, but a couple people had asked, during the course of this webinar, in particular about the bundling and some of the packaging that both MakerBot and Autodesk have done, and they're wondering if in the future here we have plans to do something similar to wrap design, Geomagic Design as an offering with maybe some of the maybe consumer or other types of printer options available currently through the 3D Systems printing line.
John, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, it's a good question. It's definitely something that's worth considering. Obviously, we're not doing it right now, but might be something that will be possible in the future.
Okay. And just a couple more here, and then, folks, as a reminder, follow-ups. There will be people that will follow up, and we will make sure that all your questions are answered one way or another. So, where did that question go? What kind of support is there for printability on imported geometry?
The printability works the same way on imported geometry as it does on native geometry.
Okay. And back to the squirrel, Mike. Can you manipulate the geometry of individual surfaces of the squirrel as an example?
There's individual patches. So each of those surface that you saw there is a surface. So any way that you would usually handle surfaces in Geomagic Design, you could do that. But of course, it is a solid body, so you could go in and chop off the arm and add your own arm if you wanted to.
When can I view information from existing CAD files like dimensions, errors such as inverted triangles, etc., and does it have an auto fix option?
Say that one again. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So this is a question that came through before, and he brought it back around again. So where can I view information from existing CAD files like dimensions, errors such as inverted triangles, etc., and does it have an auto fix option?
I'm not sure I understand that question completely.
Okay, so we'll follow up with that one. I think we can allow the product specialists to maybe better review that, and we can send back a better answer or more established answer from it. Could deviation report be generated when a mesh is solidified?
Not in Geomagic Design.
Okay. All right, and I think, folks, for the most part, that wraps up the Q&A session. There are a series of questions about the Sense scanning device. There's questions about some of the additional, a little bit more information on some of the functionality and the features that we talked about today in this webinar, and all that will be available to you along with a recording of the webinar that will be sent out here in the next couple days, as well as an opportunity to maybe answer some of these additional questions that we didn't get time to answer. So I want to thank Jonathan Pace, Mike Sang, and Ryan Montgomery for assisting on today's webinar. For more information, you can always visit geomagic.com to see more about Geomagic Design, as well as some of the other product offerings, and of course 3dsystems.com to look at some of the printers as you think about maybe some of the printability integration that might work with some of your workflows and processes. So thank you again. Enjoy your day, and we'll be following up soon.